Hello there, and welcome to this series, where I'll be attempting to make a fantasy steampunk map for my friend. In this episode, I'll be using World Painter to make a basic island. The first thing I did was went on the internet and generated this map using a procedural map generator. I used this map as an overlay to help me shape out a rough island shape. Now, while I'm shaping out this island, I want to talk a bit about what I want to accomplish with the series. I mentioned before that this is going to be a fantasy steampunk map, but I also want to have some RPG elements to it, such as a class system, puzzles, and to accomplish this, I'm going to use a combination of mods and command blocks. Now, as for the map, I'm not going to worry about the specifics at this moment, so I'm not being too finicky or too precise. I just want to get a rough shape of the land and the basic land mass. And while I'm doing this, I'm thinking of the specific biomes that I want to do, and I'm thinking of making the north part of the island this lush vegetated land, and the south, especially the southwestern area, a much more desolate type of desert environment. But I need to blend this somehow, so I'm gonna maybe make a mountain range stretching across the whole island, dividing the island, which provides a kind of natural barrier between the two. So I don't need to make this huge biome transition, but I will maybe have to make a type of biome transition with maybe the Badlands and Savannah, just getting this gradual biome transition. And this part over here is gonna be a really good place to put the main city and like this massive port city with maybe like a skyport and a seaport and just this massive steampunk city, where it's kind of gonna be like the main city of this map. I decided to adjust it a little bit just to make the bay a bit more prominent. And the rest of the map, I'm just going to put some islands here and there, and nothing too over the top. So no big additional islands, just a few islands here and there to maybe make it a small type of temple area and stuff like that. And I will also be adding a bit of underwater structures later on in the series, where I'm maybe getting some inspiration from Bioshock, one of the most popular like steampunky games. And now I'm just carving out a bit of the islands and just forming the shape of them. I'm also going to smooth out the transition between the land masses, because I'm just carving everything out with a flattening tool at this moment. So it's got this really sharp edge at the moment, and the whole landmass is basically just one flat area. And I kind of want to keep the island relatively flat with some minor hills here and there, and because it's gonna be this dense vegetation, and I don't want to have these extreme hilly extreme hills on the entire island. So just this mountain range stretching through the island, maybe due to some volcanic activities going on, similar to Hawaii, where you have these prominent mountains, but the rest of the land is not that hilly or not that mountainous. Now I'm really happy with the shape of the island, and as I'm finishing everything off here, I'm just gonna smooth out the transition between the land and the sea a bit, just to make everything a bit smoother and not to have this steep cliff where the water meets the ocean. So I'm just smoothing everything down a bit and just giving it this gradual fade. I will fix the underwater section of the map a bit later in the video, but for now I'm just focusing on smoothing the area. And now I'm just gonna use the map as inspiration to put this natural bordering of mountains and some temporary rivers using a blue stain terracotta. So this is just gonna be a marker for later on, because I want to start painting the biomes of the map. And as you can see, I'm painting a desert down at the bottom with some savanna and badlands surrounding it, making this transition between the desert and the more lush environment, with some mountain ranges running through the entire map, of course. Now, the top, I decided to go with a taiga because I really like the color of the grass in the taiga biome. But I decided to go with the jungle on the eastern side of the island and a plains right in the middle of the south. And using the masking command, where I just paint on just the biomes, I decided to go with normal desert sand and some red sand as the mesa or the badlands. And then I just temporarily painted the mountains with coarse dirt. And then I proceeded to move to the underwater section. Yeah, I missed a lot of sand placement. So yeah, I'm just sponging up all the water, and now I'm gonna fix all the sand and just make this underwater section less flat. I decided to raise up the section around the desert just to make it a little more shallow and not have this like deep waters, because of all the sand and because of all the sand washing from the desert to the coastline. And the badlands I also raised up quite a bit to make it this type of plateau where you can see the plateau in the distance. I also gave the desert just a bit of texture. Then I proceeded to move to the mountain area. And now I'm just going to make a basic mountain range. Again, not being too specific, because I will later go and fix it with world edit and some manual terraforming. And just to give the rest of the land a bit of a variation, so it's not too flat, I decided to add a bit of texture. Not going too overboard, because I want it to be really like type of flat area, because I want to focus mainly on this lush environment where it's maybe got some floating islands and this dense lush jungle. Now I also decided to make the rivers at this, where I used the blue stain markers that I did earlier in the episode to basically act as a guideline to where I can make natural looking rivers. I then decided to do some basic terrain fixes, where I painted the bottom of the rivers sand, and the mountains with a rock mixture of normal stone and some cobblestone. I then proceeded to flood the area, because I already fixed the underwater situation and all the rivers, so everything should look relatively okay right now. The last thing I did was just add a basic beach around the whole map, not making it too prominent or too uniform, just some beaches here and there to kind of act as a placeholder, because I want to do the beaches manually later on in the series. But that's going to be all from me today. Thank you for watching, and I guess I'll see you guys in the next episode.